Hey, Rosamia.
Hey.
Hello, everyone tuning in too. Looks like the numbers are shooting up. Everyone's joining the extended Q&A. Well, thank you for that wonderful presentation. Another question that we had, you had talked about the how historically, because there have not been these corridors, that the populations of cotton tops have somewhat ended. And
Mhm.
so we have a question from Natalie Sheridan, no relation to me as far as I know. But Natalie asked, Rosamira, have there been any genetic deficits in the cotton top populations because they were islanded for so long?
Yeah, Nelly, that is actually one of our future focuses in research. And it is to better understand what is going on genetically with these populations. We focused a lot on learning about the biology of the species for a while. I think we have learned a lot, and we have been able to use all of that information in putting together conservation strategies. But that is ahead in our road to figure that out with the help of the experts. We did give it a try over 15 years ago, back just to figure that out, but the technology and the methods were not ready to differentiate between within cotton top populations. You can set apart two different species of tamarins, but not within the same genus and species. But now that has moved forward quite a bit, and we're looking forward to creating the partnerships that will allow us to figure that out, because that would be critical as the forest grows and cotton tops or get interconnected. It would be very critical to figure that out and help do it right.
Hmm. Awesome. Yeah. And we have a great question from Linda, who sounds like she knows Proyecto Tití pretty well. She asked, could you, Rosamira, share more about your programs to build fences from non-forest wood materials?
Yes, thank you for that. Yes, we started this program of collecting plastic bottles in local communities. Local communities have very limited waste disposal systems, and they end up always in the forest and in the streams and in the lagoons that are in the area. So we created a program that collected that plastic and grind them, and we work with a manufacturer in Barranquilla to turn them into fence posts that we call Tití. Tití is the tamarind name in Spanish, Tití posts, and we use them for fencing our reserve. We have had quite a few challenges with the cost of transportation of this material, but we are committed to continuing on with using these fences as we get them donated. You can donate them on our website. It's $15 each, so you can donate fence posts, and every so often we collect and produce and send to the field. So we have basically fenced all of our reserve, our forest reserve. It's all fenced with light fences and a combination of light fences and fence posts. That way, those plastic fence posts last forever. The first ones we installed was in 2008. They're still there,
Wow.
perfect. Otherwise, you cut trees and use them as fences, and in 2 years, with the heat and the temperature, they're completely gone. They're rotten, or they're just full of fungus, because this is tropical climate, so everything grows everywhere. and
Mhm.
then and then yeah, so they're working great, and we look forward to using them more and more as we get the support from people that can donate, or if we can get that going and still doing something useful with such a lot of plastic waste all around our communities.
Mhm. Incredible. Yeah, so creative for you guys to do
Yeah.
that. Um, And a great question from Courtney. I think this is always interesting to hear from conservationists because we try to only focus on the success because we struggle so much in conservation. But Courtney wanted to hear, do you have any examples of conservation strategies in the past that you tried to implement that didn't necessarily work out for the TTs too well? And if so, how did PT adapt to that and improve for the future?
Yes, we have been very committed all throughout the years to evaluate as much as we can. We evaluate our education programs pre and post. We For community work, we have done like impact studies, because we didn't have a baseline. We measure our success with how many trees survive, or how many hectares we are able to protect or to restore. But I think the most challenging area, and I think most conservationists would agree with me on this, is the success of the community programs. There has been along the way many successes, but many failures as well. In things we have learned. It's hard to call it failure, but it's more like a lesson learned, because when you look at things in a positive way, you use all those challenges and turn them into opportunities, or use them for providing feedback to doing things in a way that adapt better to our program. So the Eco Mochila project, it has had many challenges in it. They're mostly related to marketing of the products, and how do you price a product, and how do you come with ideas to the communities when you need a lot of hand skills. Not everybody has hand skills. So it's like all throughout the process, it's been a permanent learning situation, and it's mostly related to the community programs, and I should say. And it's human nature. It's not predictable. It is somehow, but not necessarily all the time. So I think we have created that circle back every year, do our adaptive management, adapt what is not working very well, or walk away from it and focus on something that is working very well. But yes, we all go through that, and just have to be resilient and adapt and moving on, because this is a life commitment that we have with protecting the forest and the species and the cottontops.
Yeah, I think Proyecto Tití, you guys do a wonderful job of really implementing. That's the true scientific method, to reassess and ask new questions and say, all right, what are we doing wrong? What can we improve? Every year you guys are doing that. And
we're very hard on ourselves, actually, all the time, but that's how we work with the support of many amazing people and organizations around the world. We feel responsible, to use that as effectively as possible, and to show the result, which is what we want to get, is save a species and a habitat and benefit people around it. So you need to be hard on yourself to make sure that you're always adjusting and following the right path for things.
Yeah, and luckily you guys have had plenty of success. Of course, still plenty of work to do, but we had an awesome question from Jorge Lina, our other partner at WCN with the Ethiopian Wolf Project. And Jorge Lina wanted to ask, so I think we've had plenty of successes this past year where you've seen new wildlife benefiting from the work you guys are doing. So Jorge Lina wanted to know, what other wildlife species have you seen come back to the reserves or in the areas working since you started observing the TT?
Thank you, Jorgelina, for asking that question. Yes, that's one of the things I mentioned in my presentation, is that, of course, we focus on cottontop tamarins. It is the species that we're hoping to protect. But all of those hectares and acres of forest that we are protecting are also protecting many amazing species. Some of them not as endangered or threatened as cottontops, but some of them are. And like in our reserve, with the patrolling that we do every week, we have seen 2 critically endangered species that are also endemic from Colombia. And one is the Dali turtle, which is only found. It shares the uniqueness that cottontops do in the tropical dry forest in northern Colombia. And also the brown spider monkey, I think is the common name of it. We saw one in our reserve in July, and it had been reported further away from our site, but we were happy enough to see her get to our reserve and use the resources that we're saving for the monkeys. So yes, besides those 2 other critically endangered species, we have anteaters, small anteaters. We have deer. We have sloth bears. We have toucans, macaws, rattlesnakes, which I don't like very much, but lots of bugs, lots of butterflies, lots of amazing, beautiful tropical birds in Colombia, which is the country with the highest diversity on birds worldwide. So that makes us feel really proud. The fact that yes, we are protecting cottontops, but the benefit goes beyond just one species, but the whole ecosystem, and not only for us, also for people. So people benefit from this through the partnerships we create and the conservation agreements, and just climate, just a better environment for all of us. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. All right, so a few more questions, and also I would encourage anyone in the audience, whether it's a fellow conservationist or a supporter of WCN, please come up on stage too. You just click that orange button to join your video and audio, so you can chat with Rosamira directly too. But for now, Rosamira, I know you had mentioned just how much pride there is in Colombia for the Cottontop, because it is native to that area and now only endemic to Colombia. We had a question from Alex Delgado about, has this always been the case? Did the Cottontop tamarin ever live in other parts of the world, or was it only always restricted to northern Colombia?
No, it seems like as far as were able to get back in history, this is the only place on earth you will have seen Cottontop tamarins in the wild. Somehow along the way, they got kind of sighted and surrounded by water bodies like the ocean in the north and rivers, big rivers of Colombia in the south and east, and they just stayed there. They were exported from Colombia for biomedical research in the 60s and 70s quite heavily when it wasn't prohibited to export them. And that's how they ended up in many, many, many labs around the world and later on in zoos. Cottontops it's one of the most popular species in zoo collections in the United States and Europe. And all those animals are, working as ambassadors of their counterparts in the wild and creating awareness to get support to protect their forest and protect the ones that are in Colombia. But no, as far back as we were able to get, it's always been here in this small region of Colombia.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, even more the reason to protect it then. Okay, another question from Hardy. I love this. This is a creative question.
Okay.
We had mentioned that Cottontops, they travel throughout the forest by climbing through the canopy. Have you ever, when there were small gaps in the forest between farms or between properties, did you guys ever think about potentially connecting the treetops with thick ropes or something that the Cottontops could reach across?
No, we haven't. Most of the times the voids are too long, so they're very, too separated, and it will be very challenging. We have seen exercises of other entities like authorities in Colombia that have placed these wildlife passages.
Mm-hmm.
We have not evidence, or they haven't either, evidence that Cottontops use them. We're not sure. We haven't really done that much research on it. And we are mostly focused on creating the forest corridors that provides enough continuity of the canopy so that they can move around. I know there have been many experiences around the world where primates use these passages. We have not seen that happen with Cottontop tamarins. Mm-hmm. They do go through live fences. Like sometimes farmers combine fence posts, like wooden fence posts with trees. And but a Cottontop has to be under a lot of stress to expose him or herself in a live fence because they get eaten by raptor birds. Mm-hmm. So like if you are in a pasture field and in a live fence or over a fence or on a rope like that, and you get seen by an eagle or a falcon, right? Oh, you're gone. So they don't like to make themselves vulnerable to predators. Mm-hmm. That's another reason we think that might, have to be carefully thought of or designed so it works with the way they feel about open spaces.
Mm-hmm. Okay, very interesting. And one last question, because I think we have our last presentation on the main stage with the Pangolin Crisis Fund. But we're getting a bunch of shout outs and thank yous from Donna and Juan and Courtney and other people that are huge fans.
Thank
you. So one last question from Natalie. She asked that, is the Colombian government, would you guys consider them a partner of yours? How have they been involved in protecting the Cottontop tamarin? I know you had mentioned that you worked on a national plan with Colombia to protect the species. How have you worked together?
Well, we've as Proyecto Tití, we have made a great point of work with environmental authorities, both at a local level, at a regional level, at a national level. You cannot work without them. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to move or advance or anything. So we do have to ask for permits to do our work. So it is very important that we keep their good relationships, that we comply with all the regulations that Colombian government has for the type of research and the type of work we do, and the reporting as well. So yes, I mean, we would be definitely interested in getting, more financial support, but at least we have great relationships. We work with them. They help us with licenses, permits, and also in situations where we need to do planning, like the national plan for the conservation of cotton tops or territorial planning. We're always invited to be a part of these workshops, and we always have a voice in these scenarios that allow us to participate in decision making. We don't make the decisions, but at least we have an opportunity to call the attention. And actually that has been very beneficial in that story in my presentation with that airport that they wanted to build on top of the forest that we were saving. It was all through, a lot of help with the media, but also going and working with the environmental authorities. And that forest, after we won that battle, was legally protected for perpetuity. And that wouldn't have happened if you don't have good relationships. You start fighting with everybody because you're frustrated. That's not going to work. So you really have to take a deep breath and just go with it, but learn to work with different types of partners, because everybody has something to bring to the table to help conservation. Everybody, community, schools, corporate sometimes, in local offices, the police, everybody can help. So it is very important when you work in conservation to make sure and work around partnerships, collaboration, and everybody for the same cause.
Yeah, so be a Cottontop warrior princess, but also make sure you don't burn too many bridges and keep friends and collaborate. Yeah.
Exactly. Right. Definitely. No, that was more like an awareness campaign, and that worked very well. So it was a good strategy.
Awesome.
Thank you for your wonderful questions today.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Thank you so much, Rosamira, for an awesome presentation about Cottontops. And we hope that everybody here can support Proyecto Tití this year, too. COVID-19 has affected a lot of our conservationist programming. And, of course, support from zoos and other foundations has been down. So we would love your support for Proyecto Tití. And just want to say thank you again to Rosamira for an incredible talk today.
Thank you.
All right.